Hello, everyone. Welcome to Off the Deep End, the show where we take a deep dive into all your favorite things. I'm your host, Arshdeep Singh, and today I'm talking with Kritik about Captain Marvel. Kritik?
Hey, what's up?
It's good. All right. So first things first. What do you think of the movie? How was it? What do you like? We saw it together, so
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about it. But what do you like?
I personally really liked it. I was kind of worried going into it because if you think of the premise that they're giving you, it's an Air Force pilot who goes into a crash and gets powers from a blast. That sounds like to me a lot like Green Lantern. So I came in a little worried. I didn't know how they would go about this origin story, but I really liked their twist on it. How it wasn't a typical origin story where the first act was they get their powers. Second act is they're messing around with the powers, making a mistake. Third act they beat the bad guy somehow, right? I liked how we were dropped into the movie 6 years after getting her powers, and
the idea of starting in the middle and
Yeah.
not having having the origin story be a
Exactly.
part of it, but not like the central focus where it is with Iron Man 1 and Cap 1.
and as a Marvel fan, you can really appreciate it because it ties up these little loose ends that you didn't know that were unopened or unfinished. I really like that part. Just as a Marvel fan.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Tesseract more and more. But yeah, I think it's the same. I think people were really worried about how the first all-female,
exactly.
not all-female, but more female-led Marvel movie would be. I think there was nothing to worry about. I think
Yeah.
it was a fantastic movie. Brie Larson did a really good job. She kept getting hated on for the lack of smiling thing in the promotional. But I thought that she did a really good job.
Yeah.
I think Samuel L. Jackson did a really good job bringing back that Pulp Fiction-esque vibe of his younger self, and just overall, I think it was a fun time at the movies. So
Well, going on the fact that which you got a lot of hate for not smiling enough, not having enough emotion. She's an Oscar award-winning actress.
Yeah.
You can't, and they were basing it based on a 1.5 2-minute trailer, versus a 2-hour movie which we saw together. Which I noticed that her emotions were really subtle. She would stare at the camera and then she would smile a little bit. They were very subtle, but it was very clear. But also, in a character perspective, you gotta think about for the past 6 years, her character has been told to suppress her emotions, that her emotions were her weakness. So to me, I think that was a character choice.
Exactly, she's not smiling in the beginning,
Exactly.
and this is your only spoiler warning.
Yeah.
But we're talking about it in the beginning with she's told to suppress emotions, and then even when she smiles, he's don't smile.
Yeah.
I can see where that plays in the role, but even then, she gets back on Earth
Exactly.
and she's quipping, she's very sarcastic overall. She's kind of the same sort of hotshot pilot. Give me some Tom Cruise vibes.
Yep.
From
Top Gun.
She plays that character very well, which I think that's her role is the kind of somewhat put down yet very sarcastic and intuitive and funny pilot who's a survivor more than anything. So I guess now we've talked about the strengths. Obviously, Captain Marvel, great movie, had a lot of strengths. Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson coming back, even a little bit of Phil Coulson coming in there wherever he could. Always love to see him. And even I'd say the supporting characters were also really good.
Yep.
So we talk about I think her name is Maria.
Maria,
Maria and her daughter, whose name
Lieutenant Trouble.
Lieutenant Trouble. There we
Yeah.
go. Lieutenant Trouble. What? How did those supporting actors you think differ from other Marvel movies, or similar in some cases?
Good question.
Because I don't know, she reminded me most closely of probably Jane Foster and Eric Selvig,
Gotcha.
and the third girl who's also there.
Cat Dealer. Yeah, something like that.
She's on Two Broke Girls, but I know that she they remind more of those it's not like Bucky where they're gonna get superpowers or anything like that, but it's just other characters that are very minor yet play a really significant role in the plot itself.
Yeah.
So what did you think of that?
Well, to me, it kind of felt like a buddy cop film almost, because with her and Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
But I really liked the dynamic that Brie Larson had with Maria, as her name, because it was the way they played it was there was a familiarity because they were friends for such a long time, but there was that little distance because Captain Marvel doesn't remember anything.
Yeah.
I really like that dynamic, and especially there being a child in the mix where she didn't fully understand everything. That dynamic to me was really cool, but I think the way it played out was, Maria played a role, especially in the end, to get the Skrulls back to their families, and I feel like Lieutenant Trouble, whatever her name is, she played a minor role as well, where she kind of like I felt like she was like the inspiration of Captain Marvel towards the end, and her mother.
I think she was like the equivalent of like when I can't think of a Marvel character like who has that like little person who calls them to action. I really can't think of that. There's always call to action. Like I'd say, Bucky was Captain America's call to action in the first, movie. In the second Iron Man, it's his father. Like there's never been a younger character who plays a call to action. And maybe Cassie with Ant-Man. Maybe you could call it that. But I'd say she's the first like real call to action for a young kid. So good for Lieutenant Trouble.
Like, the kids in Marvel, I think, do really well. We got Cassie from Ant-Man and Wasp, Ant-Man. We got this girl, and then Iron Man 3. That kid in Iron Man 3.
Oh yeah,
played a huge
Harley
role.
something.
Harley,
that's his name. Like, and he's rumored to be an Endgame too, which is crazy to think about what his role will be. I mean, I can only imagine a conversation between him and Peter
exactly
about what would happen, considering Peter is now confirmed to be the kid that pulled up the Iron Man thing in the second one. Yeah. So they would be not around the same age. Maybe Harley would be a little older, but still interesting dynamic to see what will happen with that. I mean, maybe he won't even have a big part, but hopefully Harley comes back and is a really big part of MCU later on because he's a good actor.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on. So weaknesses of the film. I think it suffers from personally, at least for me, it suffers from the same thing the Black Panther had, which is a weak third act.
Okay.
That was what I would say, but I want to get your take on it first. So what weaknesses did you see personally? Plot points, character development, holes?
Well, like I said in the beginning, they kind of throw us into the deep end, where, pun. Where they kind of throw us into the deep end, where like we wake up and she's like in the Kree planet or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think the beginning pacing could have been a little better, where they could have given a little more backstory instead of just throwing us in there. But overall, like, other than that, like maybe like the third act was a little weak, but.
Because wouldn't you say with the ending too, like when we're looking at like Ronin,
sure.
Like wouldn't you say that Ronin is a little bit of a wasted opportunity there?
That's true.
Like especially with, I mean, she blows through like what is essentially like 26 nuclear missiles or whatever they fire because it's supposed to destroy the planet.
Yeah.
So it's like what where the hell is that coming from? She just destroys them. She blows through one ship, kind of like Star Wars style, where they like hyper jumped through all the ships or whatever. But like she just blows through one ship and tells the other ones to turn around and go home. But like, and I feel like that the stakes weren't that high.
I feel like
at the end,
I feel like that could be an opportunity for like a sequel almost, because before Ronan like hyperspaced away, he said like we're gonna come back for the girl.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's like an opportunity for a sequel that they're looking at.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that being a thing, because I'm thinking of what they do, like maybe like very Wonder Woman-esque, like they had Wonder Woman, which took over World War II, and now they're doing Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, so doing something like that, so maybe they do like Captain Marvel 2008, like I don't know, 2006 maybe, I don't know, but they would do something a little later down the line, but not before Iron Man, but not after the Iron Man.
Another thing was like I appreciated the twist in the movie, where we realized the Skrulls aren't actually the villains, but I felt like it was too easy. Like the way like they just had a conversation, it switched.
Yeah.
Like, and they said look past everything the Skrulls, like, cause even though like they're technically like not the bad ones, they still didn't do like the best things. Like kind of just overlooked everything.
Yeah.
Just through a conversation that they had.
Exactly. No, I think it's hard to. That's why I always say TV shows do a better job with character development than movies 100% of the time, because they have more time to develop those things, and plot twists are always way more hard hitting in TV. But I think they did the best they could with the timing too, because I think we were already like an hour and a half into the film, and then we get the reveal, and I'm like, all right, well, they had to get it now, otherwise, we can't have a third act. Like it'd just be 2 acts of what needs to be a 3-act film. But I think the big thing for me that threw me off until recently, I just figured out that is the plot hole with the Tesseract. I think that was the thing that everyone was like, this is impossible. Like they said that Iron Man's dad had it, but like recently retracing it. Let's retrace it real quick for everyone who doesn't follow it. So thousands of years ago, the Infinity Stones are made. Hundreds of millennia ago, whatever, the Infinity Stones are made. Then then someone has the bright idea of turning the Space Stone, is it? Yeah, the Space Stone into the Tesseract.
Cube,
into Tesseract. Odin gets it eventually. So Odin puts it in his nice vault, and then he goes to Earth where he fights a war with the Frost Giants or whatever. Sorry, this is gonna sound really crazy. And then he leaves it there, where it ends up in that church in Germany. I want to say, or
I looked this up.
Norway.
It was like Netherlands or Norway. Is one of those.
Netherlands or Norway.
Something
it ends up in that church where the people worship Asgardians as the gods. Red Skull gets it.
Red Skull and Hydra gets it.
They use it for terrible things. Captain America gets his powers from it. Actually, not from it, but he learns that stuff's powered by it. Then eventually, it gets thrown in the ocean, and at the end of the movie, Howard Stark fishes it out. And then here's what I didn't know, is that Howard Stark goes on to found Project Pegasus.
Really?
And Project Pegasus is the same base that gets destroyed in Avengers 1. I didn't understand that, because that's where they're doing testing in the middle of the desert for all the stuff related to the Tesseract.
Really?
So originally, and then like Marvel, who's retconned to be, I forgot what her name is. Oh my God, Sue, Mary, so something, whatever. She's the old lady who the Supreme Intelligence imitates. Yep. But that old lady, that old lady, she co-founds Project Pegasus with Tony Stark. I'm sorry, with Howard Stark. So we get that thing, and then apparently Howard Stark someplace retires. She takes over the project fully. She uses it to develop hyperspace engine. Obviously, she dies. Nick Fury learns all these things. Nick Fury takes over the project on top of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then eventually we get Eric Selvig taking over the project later. So that's the things that I didn't understand until I not rewatched scenes, but I got some more insight from other places. But I was like, wow, like the deep cuts to Project Pegasus, that's crazy that exists. I mean, Marvel's done such a good job keeping everything linear, but I mean, there's literally no holes in logic. Like, it was something that I found really interesting and something that I just wanted them to know. Yeah. But anyway, weaknesses beyond the weak third act and the plot holes. Did we find any of the acting campy or anything like that?
I don't know.
Because I'll admit, Ben Mendelsohn did come off a little campy for my taste.
What do you mean?
Ben Mendelsohn's usually a very serious, grounded actor.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you've ever seen, oh my God, what is he in?
He was in Rogue One.
In Rogue One, even the Netflix series he does.
Oh
my God.
Bloodline.
Bloodline. Very grounded, very gritty kind of actor. But in this one, his first half is very serious, and then he becomes comic relief for the Skrulls. Because especially with the cat, with Goose, and that scene where he's like, "That's not a cat," but it's like it feels a little campy for my taste, especially with Ben Mendelsohn. Like, if you're gonna have him, use him like correctly. I don't know. That's just that's a nitpick. That's me going full screen junkies on this, Cinema Sins. But like that's the only thing that I would say. But any closing remarks for weaknesses? Or even things that could have been done better.
I feel like they could have. Well, they had the whole Kree group that like Jude Law was like the head of, and I feel like they could have played that better when it was revealed that they were like evil. Where like we knew that there was something there was some secret that like Jude Law had, but then magically turns out that like the whole group wasn't on the secret as well.
Oh, okay. So you wanted like everyone to be aware, very self-aware about the thing. Got it. Because I think, and another deep cut is that main guy who's on Jude Law's, I don't even remember Jude Law's name in the movie. I just call him Jude Law. Yeah. Jude Law's main squad is the guy in the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy. The same guy who's going after the Power Stone. And Minerva, I don't know what happens. Apparently Minerva was supposed to be like a child of Thanos in one of the takes, which is crazy to think about. I was like, wow, like she got that much respect to be a child of Thanos. But yeah, I mean, those are other deep cuts. But yeah, I'll agree. The squad could have been used a little better, especially because they were all on the planet at the same time. It's not like Jude Law was, soloing the trip. Like, they were all with him. So I would say, yeah, that's another waste of opportunity.
Because, like, comparing it to maybe, like, Captain America, the first one, where they have the Howling Commandos.
Howling Commandos,
yep. Like, that whole group was so iconic.
And it was utilized very well. Yeah. I think obviously they don't go as much into developing those characters or even giving them names sometimes. But at least they're given the their own times when they're setting
Exactly.
up the bombs on the trucks, and once when he like sees the guy in the tree and then they all like rip him apart. Like that kind of stuff is definitely important to have, but then don't give them too much development if
Exactly.
you're not going to give them the right
Yep.
justice. I agree. All right, so now we've done the good, the bad, kind of the ugly with things we didn't like as well. So, Endgame. That was the biggest thing
Yeah.
for this movie. This movie was one of two movies that came between Infinity War and Endgame. Ant-Man and the Wasp being the first one. We liked the end credit scene was essentially right at the snap.
Yep.
And we see that Scott is stuck somewhere in the quantum realm for some period of time. Hopefully, and he does come back in the trailer, but we don't know. And then this end credit scene. Do you want to summarize the end credit scene real quick, and then we'll jump right into it?
Sure. Well, the first one was right after it's the leftover Avengers back in their facility, and they found Fury's pager that Captain Marvel gave him, and they're trying to figure out where the signal's going. Eventually, like the signal, like the pager stops working, and then they're just like, all right, we need to get this back on because whoever Fury was contacting is definitely important. Scarlett Johansson turns around and it's Captain Marvel, and she's there and she goes, "What happened to Fury? Where is he?"
Yeah, where's Fury? Was the line?
Where's
I think.
Fury? Yeah,
exactly. Where's Fury? But I mean, yeah, that was crazy because I think that angered fans a lot because people were like, "How did you sneak up on the Black Widow of all people, and how did you sneak into the Avengers facility, which is supposedly the most intense facility, the most like secure facility probably on the planet?" Maybe the Raft.
Yeah.
Or maybe something that S.H.I.E.L.D. owns. But I don't know. But yeah, I think that was something that was a little nitpicky. But even then, like, initial reactions to the scene, we were both... I think that was something that caught everyone off guard. We were like, we did not expect...
We didn't expect to see any of the current Avengers in the movie in any vicinity.
Mm-hmm. I thought... even when, like, I was thinking about it, there's this comic book artist that did post-snap little comics, and in hers she's punching a Skrull, what looks like it, because this is way before the movie even made, so they thought that Skrulls would be bad guys, but it's her punching a Skrull and the Skrull fades as her fist goes through the Skrull, so it just like turns to dust, and then she's like, I need to get back to Earth, and that's like the click. And I thought we would get something like that. She's in space, kicking Kree ass and taking names like it's nobody's business, or as Drax would say, the exact opposite. And then she punches a Kree, they disappear, and then all the Kree are just like, what are going on? And there's like half the Kree are disappearing, half the Kree are still there, and then she's kind of like, what is happening? And I feel like that would have been a really powerful way to do it without including the Avengers, but I'm glad they did it like this because this gives us a better sense of when things are occurring. Like now we know that Captain Marvel is there at the beginning. She's there at Ground Zero, like probably hours, maybe days after this happens. So, well, hours maybe in her time because she's traveling so fast. But yeah, like I think that's a really essential thing to have, especially because there will probably be another trailer, so we don't know how much more new stuff we're gonna get. But this was good to have, I think, as a new item. And then our last end credit scene, more joking.
Yeah.
It's Goose throwing up the Tesseract onto Nick Fury's desk. I would say
kind of just like reaffirming that like they have the
Tesseract. Yeah. What do you think about the joke end credit scenes that we've seen lately? It's not the first one that we've seen. So what is your take on the Marvel joke credit scenes?
I like them, dude. Like, I'll be honest, I like them because like it's like, why not?
Respectable.
It's respectable. Like it doesn't have to do anything with the plot. It's just something for the fans.
Exactly. I still think though. I mean, I would say put the joke credit scene first. That's like my take on it. Is like if you have the joking credit scene first, like for Ragnarok, you have like the what's his name, the Collector? No, not the Collector. The Grandmaster.
Yeah, the Grandmaster.
Yeah, you have him do his joking and credit scene first, and then you jump into the Infinity War tie-in after. Like I don't know. I think that the joking and credit scene should come first because that keeps people staying there, and then the serious one should be at the end. Like the last note should be the one that you have people clapping for. Like people aren't clapping for Goose. People are like, like,
I think
I stayed for that. Like I don't know. That's how personally. It's
just the director's choice at that point.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but they probably have Kevin Feige's choice at that point.
They probably they have the reasons. I'm like, I don't doubt Kevin Feige at all.
Yeah, I mean he does a great job. I'm not expressing my hate on Kevin Feige. I don't have any hate for Kevin Feige. So as long as they keep doing great end credit scenes and great work, doesn't matter to me. But I brought up one possible conspiracy theory linking Ant-Man and the Wasp and this movie, with the little girl
with the little girls.
and her possibly being Ghost. Do you want me to explain the whole thing again, real quick?
Explain it, and then
They'll give
say.
Okay. So my theory was that the little girl at the end of Captain Marvel. So obviously she, her mother Maria gets the call to possibly join Shield, and my assumption is that she does take it, and that they do raise a kid, that she maybe even remarries. So eventually there's a family of 3 there. Then one day while they're testing maybe the quantum effects on engines or something, that there's a terrible accident, and Maria's killed, the surrogate father's also killed, unnamed, doesn't have to be named, and that leaves a little girl there. And the little girl is there. She's now trained by Shield to be like the little girl who's the little girl from Captain Marvel, Lieutenant Trouble. And she's trained, and she's asked to do all these things and everything, and sort of dissociates from her identity eventually, so we don't even know her name, so her name can actually just be the name that's in the Ghost. And then eventually you get the Ghost persona, and then we link right into Ant-Man and the Wasp. So she's there at the snap, and well, we don't know if she gets snapped or not. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. But then from there she just becomes that character, and then I would love to see what happens if Captain Marvel sticks around after Infinity War, and then we see her and the Ghost meet up, and they rekindle or whatever. I don't know. I thought it would be a cool take.
Really cool.
Especially, it'd be such a deep cut. I don't think Marvel has yet to acknowledge the very deep cuts sometimes that they have in their movies. Harley and Peter meeting would be something that's really cool, something that I think is undone and should be done. And Marvel could do it very easily. It's just about putting 2 actors in a room and letting them have it, or let Harley transfer the school in whatever the school is as a senior or something. That'd be a cool take on it. Let him be the man in the chair for Peter for half a movie, and then have him transfer out. Those little things that can be done, I think aren't done, or that they should focus on. That's my take on my scene. Now you said you had something to say about it.
One of the good things and the bad things about these Marvel movies is they're based on the comics, right?
Exactly.
So there's so much source material that anything can be fixed with a Google search, right? And I was very excited to do this podcast, and in the middle of it, I follow Rotten Tomatoes on Instagram, and they had a video of all the Easter eggs within Captain Marvel that they found.
Yeah.
And what they said was, whoever the little girl is, that character becomes an incarnation of Captain Marvel. After
I know I saw the same thing, which is what broke me a little bit. But
and then Lieutenant Trouble is a nickname Captain Marvel gives to her sidekick.
No, I heard the exact same thing. I heard it from Emergency Awesome, who's another great guy on YouTube. Go check him out. I love his videos. But
anything's possible.
Anything is possible, because I think, especially looking at the retcon for Marvel is a very macho, super strong superhero guy as well, and he goes to being an elderly woman, which is very change up. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I kind of liked it. I thought it worked really well. Kind of like how Peter Parker doesn't make his own tech, which is what people complain about, but it also makes more sense in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So those are things that I would definitely be okay, that's something that I'm okay with. If they made her Ghost, I would not be mad.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be wow, that is Marvel.
That's a very deep
Marvel
cut.
took a very ballsy move and made it work. Because I don't know. I personally would like to see more interconnection between some of the movies sometimes. I think, the Avengers movies are great to watch, but I think sometimes the interconnectivity lacks a little bit. But that's my essential on.
I feel that too, but you gotta realize the solo movies have to stand alone as their own, because there are people who just watch the solo; they don't watch the whole thing.
Exactly, there are people who won't go to see Ant-Man and the Wasp, who will go to see Captain Marvel.
So they have Easter eggs for people like us who enjoy them, who enjoy seeing the connectivity, but they've got to stand on their own as well.
Yeah, no, I get that. I would just, Kevin Feige, if you're listening, just if you make Lieutenant Trouble Ghost, I'll be so happy. You'll be making.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Lieutenant Trouble is going to be Ghost. No doubt about it. Kevin Feige is already calling my phone, giving me a job. But yeah. All right. So we've talked about literally everything that Captain Marvel has within it. I think. Have we missed anything?
What did you think about Fury naming the Avengers Initiative?
Okay. I thought he thought of a really shitty initial name. Not gonna lie
The
to you.
Protector
Nick
Initiative?
Fury, the Protector Initiative is stupid. I don't know why I thought about that. But I did like how it was very subtle. It could have been missed.
Mhm.
Like, honestly, I think Yash, who we also went to go see the movie, he blinked and he missed it. He was like,
Yeah.
why was it such a big deal? Maybe it would have been one of my friends who I called up. But all I know is that someone blinked and missed it, and I told them, and they were like, oh, that's actually not that bad of an idea. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like the Avengers Initiative should have been something that Nick Fury came
Yeah.
up with on his own.
Like,
But
I feel like it was unneeded. Like,
it wasn't needed, but I don't not appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's awesome that she's Carol the Avenger Danvers. That's her name, yeah, Carol the Avenger Danvers. Okay, hold on. And going back to Danvers, what did you think of the whole Veers thing with half the dog tag? I'm sorry, that upset me a little bit.
well, in the beginning, I was confused because I went into the movie knowing her name was Carol Danvers,
Yeah,
and they just kept calling her Veers, and I didn't get it. I'm like, why are you calling her that?
I was like, oh, is this like a Cree name, like for respect?
Yeah.
Like how, like
And then,
obviously
like,
you wouldn't
and-
think of like
yeah.
T'Challa as a name unless.
And I
you're
slowly
from
played
Wakanda.
out that, oh, she's trying to figure out her past as well. Her name
And then
is-
she gets half of it, and
Half
we
that
see
dog tag.
Carol Dan, and I'm like, oh my god, I swear to God, if it's Vers on the other
Vers.
one, and they make it Veers, I'm gonna cry. But I don't know, I think that was a little too campy. That was like you get half of a picture or something, and you
Yeah.
see the lighthouse in the back, and you find the lighthouse. You know, it was one of those, it was a cheesy aspect of the film, I think. Not unappreciated,
Yeah.
once again. I think it was okay, but a little cheesy.
And
a
what'd you
little
think
cheesy.
of how Nick Fury lost his eye?
Oh, we haven't talked about that. Thank you for bringing that up. Oh my god. You go first.
Look, so
you go first.
after we watched the movie, you knew I was upset. I was upset with it.
Yeah.
And you brought up a good point because in Winter Soldier, which is our favorite Marvel movie,
Literally, the only one of the best parts of that movie is because they allude to the eye.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
He
that
said-
upsets me.
he said the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
And the best part is that this whole thing was teased in memes for weeks.
Yeah.
Months before the movie came out. Everyone's like, oh yeah, it's going to be the cat and goose is the reason they're going to lose. He's going to lose an eye. And I was like, oh, god damn it. I was like, I really hope this isn't true. And quite honestly, I was like, I don't think it will be. Then we went in the movie and then he got scratched. And then I saw the reaction on Ben Mendelsohn's Skrull face. And he was like, it won't get better. And then I was like,
I thought it was really funny in the beginning when he first got into a car accident and his eye was all bloody and red. So probably the audience thought, okay, that's what loses his eye.
that's how he loses his eye. And then you see the three
Yeah.
little whatever, they're not stitches, they're soft stitches,
Yeah.
and they go right above his eye. And I was like, okay, they teased us a little bit with the
Yeah.
eye thing.
I think it's very funny.
And I thought they wouldn't even do it in this movie. Quite honestly, I thought it would be something that kind of moves on, or maybe it would be like Coulson's doppelganger, and that's how he loses the eye. Like last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. He doesn't even trust Coulson.
True,
Like,
true.
oh my god, scary stuff. But or that there'd be an end credit scene where he loses the eye. I thought that would be cooler than seeing Goose throw up the Tesseract. That's just me. But I think, or the Tesseract causes him to lose his eye.
Yeah,
Like all of those things.
That could have been a cool.
Like I'd rather have them retcon Civil War and have a really serious Nick Fury eye loss moment, because in the comics it's Winter Soldier that takes his eye,
Yeah.
which is a really big thing. It's like, oh shit, you have beef with Bucky Barnes, and you've never been in the same room as Bucky Barnes in the MCU until now, until whatever end credit scene. I would love to see Tesseract file on his desk and you see Winter Soldier just break in, shoot Nick Fury in the eye and leave or something, and then he gets the prosthetic. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too Hollywood, but
Not to go off topic again, but I just remembered one thing that kind of ticked me off
it's
a
fine.
little
You
bit.
can go off topic.
It was when Carol finally meets Maria. I feel like that scene, because Maria didn't show any emotion of seeing her best friend who she thought was dead for 6 years come back to life.
I think he was shocked though. It's kind of
It could have
it's
been.
kind of but it's the same. You could say the same thing for Cap when he sees Bucky for the first time. He's like Bucky, and then you're like he's just shocked. It's a shock.
But
It's that's what's on his
I felt
face.
like I felt it with Cap. I didn't feel it with Maria though.
I don't know about felt it more with Cap. I definitely say that Cap you could see he's shocked, and I think with Maria you can see that she's shocked. But I think the moment that her and Carol have inside the house when they're talking, and then she's she breaks down because you're you don't remember any of this, you were my friend, this is what we did together, we raised my daughter together, it's this is what we did in our spare time. But I don't know, that hits me harder.
Gotcha.
afterward. Like, I'd rather be hit with the emotion after the fact, because the shock is enough. Like, oh shit, what would I do?
I
if
think
was
for
in
me,
that?
like that initial reaction would have like done it for me.
The initial reaction,
Yeah.
that's just a difference in our, I think,
Yeah.
in our wanting of emotion from the film.
But again, like that's a small thing. Like
it's a small thing.
The
like,
rest of the movies,
I would say almost
incredible.
everything that we said was a small thing. And I
Yeah.
know it's easy to be like, oh well, shit, Arshdeep and Kritik, you guys talked about freaking negatives for like 10 minutes of almost whatever this long podcast is going to be. And I was like, that's not the point. The point of weaknesses is we're trying to point out where certain things might fall apart. We're trying to see, you know, why we didn't like certain things, why we did like certain things, but maybe they didn't work in the film.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of us picking nitpicks. We could pick up like another 20 minutes of great things that the movie did too, if we really wanted to.
It was incredible.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Great pacing, great direction, I'd say. You know, I don't know, maybe we could win something for Oscar for costume design or something, maybe you think? I think it's very possible.
I feel like there weren't enough costumes though.
No? Okay.
Because it was like the 90s and then Captain Marvel's costume.
Yeah, that's true. I would say the Skrulls though. Skrulls makeup.
The makeup?
Makeup,
yeah,
maybe.
so.
Maybe get, even if it just gets a nomination, it's big enough for a superhero movie. Yeah, and I'd say the big thing is, yeah, that's it. I mean, all right. Now that we've talked about a lot of the MCU, let's move a little bit into, you know, connections to other media too, real quick, because we got some time. So let's do Easter eggs. What did you see from the movie? I saw a few different shots that mimicked, you know, Pulp Fiction, Top Gun.
Mm-hmm.
There was even a Hannibal Lecter Easter egg thrown in there. So what did you see? Maybe I missed something.
I feel like they portrayed the 90s really well. They had subtle things that even us who weren't alive in the 90s could understand. That Blockbuster, that slow computer.
Oh yeah, when they're loading it up and she's like, "What's going on?"
That slow computer. And I felt they did it really well with matching the score with the soundtrack, like the 90s music playing it.
Oh yeah,
well.
I don't remember what bands exactly played.
Me neither, but
I think Gwen Stefani played one song.
I think so.
Yeah, there were a few songs there. I forgot what exactly Emergency also went into it, but there were a few really good things that were done in terms of matching soundtrack to score. I think for me the best ones were the ones that subtly hinted to things, like the True Lies poster. Did you see that? She comes in, she takes the head off the Arnold Schwarzenegger, because she's like, oh my god, who's there? And she takes off the head of him, and that's a True Lies poster that they have. And I was like, you cannot get more overbearing with your subtle hints to the mystery conclusion that Skrulls are actually good and Kree are actually bad than a True Lies poster. I was like, that whole movie is about lying to your significant other or lying to someone who's so close to you about what you actually do. I was like, oh, come on, Marvel. I was like, don't beat me over the head with the symbolism. But I thought that was really good. But
just like a little factoid, because it's like this is the only things that I would know. Where one of the directors, Ryan Bode, no,
she was on the train.
Well, okay, well, no,
Ryan Bode wasn't.
Ryan and Anna were the directors. Ryan actually, when he was younger, worked at a Blockbuster, which is why he was very particular of how it looked.
Really?
And I watched an interview with them. It's like the Blockbuster scene was a perfect scene to get their little like inputs and that they wanted to putting like little movies in that from the 90s.
Oh my god! I could see that being a thing. I know. But no, the female director, she was on the train.
Anna Fleck
was on the train. Apparently, she's the red-haired woman that bumps into Captain Marvel, and if you blink, you miss it. It's kind of like those. But if you see it, you really, like it's like the. I think it was the 4th or 5th time I watched Winter Soldier. I was like, oh my god, is that a Russo brother?
Joe Russo, yeah.
And I was like, is he the one stitching up Captain America?
He was also in Civil War.
He's also in Civil War, exactly. I think in Civil War he
was the...
he's the initial scientist that dies. Yeah, that's who he is. But exactly, like, it's those blink and you miss moments that Marvel has, and that's just linking them to directors. Yeah. But again, other
we can appreciate it.
Yeah, little things. Other Easter eggs I think that were really good were they talk about Budapest a little bit. When Nick Fury mentions where he's been in World War, Budapest, and then we've heard about Black Widow, and Hawkeye and their Budapest escapade, whatever that was. So you know, maybe those are all linked, maybe they aren't. I don't know. I could be wrong. But other than that, I would say Hannibal Lecter with the cat when they're putting things like, come on, he's not Hannibal. Top Gun, so many Top Gun.
I mean, it makes sense.
The hand signals and the call signs and everything.
They changed the cat's name was originally Chewie in the comics.
Yeah, and then Chewie in the comics.
And now it's Goose based on Top Gun.
Top Gun. Goose for Top Gun.
Makes sense. It's a plane movie.
Exactly, and there are tons of these. I mean, like the
Yeah.
Radio Shack one was so funny.
It was
I
funny
thought the
too.
Radio Shack one was the most relatable because I know we're not allowed to call ourselves old, but I've been in a Radio
Yeah.
Shack before, and before they like
We're
allowed them
we're
closed
in
down.
that weird age where it's like we're not from the '90s, but we're not like
We're
in
not
this-
from the new 2000s where everything was different. Like I remember a time before iPhones and iPods.
I remember going to a Blockbuster.
I remember going to a Blockbuster. It was the best way to get. I think I've literally rented True Lies on Blockbuster like when I was still a kid. Like until I was probably like 8 or 9, we still rented movies.
so
I didn't watch
can
True
still
Lies at 8 or
appreciate
9,
these. I can still
so
appreciate
maybe not
these.
True Lies. But I remember renting like the freaking Shrek movies from Blockbuster. I was a nerd. I was stupid. Like I did stuff like that. But yeah, that was fun. Sorry. Anyway, getting back on it. Yeah, I think those essentially all the Easter eggs. A few different movies are referenced. A few different events are referenced in the MCU. Surprisingly, no Guardians of the Galaxy's reference. No Ravagers. I thought that would be a really subtle way to do it. I thought if the Kree were like, oh, she's almost as bad as a Ravager.
Yeah.
I would have been like, that's all I needed. That's all I needed. Or she's like, they're almost as bad as Asgardians.
They're Ronin. They had the other guy.
Yeah, they had their tie-ins, but
Yeah.
definitely I think the big move for Marvel now, especially because they're thinking that Brie Larson signed a 9-movie contract, 6-9-movie contract,
It's
something
a
like
big
that.
and like she'll be because the like original Avengers, their contracts are over.
Their contracts are over.
So she'll be like the helm of like.
Oh my god.
The-
Okay,
the-
sorry.
the new
I have
Avengers.
one more question. Sorry,
Mhm.
sorry guys, this is gonna drag on for a little bit because we're gonna keep thinking of questions. What do you think about Captain Marvel taking over the helm, even though she's only been on Earth for a few years, versus other characters like Black
Good
Widow, and even like Sam Wilson, Rhodey, if he stays? Like,
So
what do you think of that?
I'm excited for the new Black Widow movie whenever it comes out. I'll be excited for that. It depends how they go about Captain Marvel. You know what I mean? Because if they stick with
Explain on that, yeah.
if they stick with the same concept that Wonder Woman was going with, where it's like there's the sequel to Captain Marvel will still be pre MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Like if she's not tied into like the present, then like I don't think we can consider her like the helm or like the head of the Avengers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But after these guys leave, we still have Spider-Man to look forward to. We still have
Black Panther 2,
Yep. And,
Guardians 3.
Yep. And then and then now with the new Disney streaming service, we got Bucky and Sam.
We have Bucky and Sam's short series. We're gonna have
Scarlet Witch and
Scarlet
Vision.
Witch and Oh, they're both in the short series.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. And then Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
Loki.
Those are the only 3, right? I
That's
think
the only thing that's
there's
been
not
announced.
a fourth one.
Those
Yeah.
are the ones that have been announced. So we have to see how she goes about in Endgame, and then how they go about with the sequels.
Because I think a lot of people are angry because even I'm included in this one. This angers me is like they're thinking that Cap will have Captain America and Captain
Mhm.
Marvel will have that 1-to-1 Cap switch, and I was like, I don't like that. I would much rather have. I don't want T'Challa to lead the Avengers. Trust me, I don't want T'Challa to lead the Avengers, and I don't want Captain Marvel. This is not me hating on minority groups leading the
Mhm.
Avengers. I don't. That's not what I think. I just think that they have to find a leader to transition them, and I think Black Widow is the best because I think she's staying on, which is
Yeah,
why I
she
don't think
definitely
she's
should.
leaving because she's still has to do a prequel movie. So I think if you're staying on for a prequel movie, you might as well stay on to do a transition Avengers film
Mhm.
where maybe you die, maybe you go out with a bang, and then you leave the helm to someone else. Then you can leave it to Marvel. You can leave it to T'Challa because T'Challa leaves.
Because what do you think like that next crossover will look like?
Because
Like that next big crossover
See,
Avengers type movie.
we're at a crossroads here, and we're gonna do another podcast on Endgame. Before Endgame, we're gonna do one during Endgame, one after Endgame. Like that's how it's gonna be. But we're at a crossroads in terms of Marvel because I think this is the end of the MCU for all intents and purposes, or this is the end of Sector 1, as I'm calling it, of the MCU. The MCU is made of 3 phases, as everyone knows. Those 3 phases are ending, and I'm gonna call those 3 phases in succession together, like how we call the Star Wars trilogy, original trilogy. I'm calling this Sector 1. So we're done with this sector. Like this, we've explored a lot. We've developed a lot of characters. There's some ends to be tied, but that's all stuff that we're pushing on to the next sector of Marvel movies. And I think that sector is going to go into. We're going to need leadership. I think that's a big thing because we no longer have the top guys now leading, and if Thor's leaving, possibly he might come back since Ragnarok is so good now. Mark Ruffalo is 100%, I think, leaving. I would say Tony Stark and Chris Evans. We can talk about my feelings on them leaving, but I do want them to leave, and I think they will leave. and then at that point we're left with Hawkeye, who I don't think will stay. I don't think Jeremy Renner will stay because Jeremy Renner, like Hawkeye's character doesn't have any reason to stay. He has a family. He's trying to get out, and he keeps having to come back in. Poor guy. And then Scarlet Witch is the only logical choice from the 6 to stay on and carry the helm and sort of transition them. And then after that, I think it can go to many different people. Like I think from there, if Namor's movie successful, Namor can come and lead the Avengers. I don't care. That'd be like Aquaman leading the Justice League. That's sick. Namor can come lead the Avengers, and I think he's going to be played by an Asian American actor, which I think is even better. Yeah. Sorry, so before we were interrupted by my roommate, we were talking about Namor could lead the Avengers. T'Challa can come. He leads the Illuminati in the comics. I think sort of leads the Illuminati. But, I think any big character could come in. They're even thinking about Fantastic Four now.
With Fox coming in.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that.
His casting the dream casting right now is John Krasinski.
John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
And Emily Blunt for both the main characters. And, like that, I think any of the big stars they're bringing in could lead the Avengers and be really big powers. I would love to see, like, Peter Parker lead the Avengers.
Yeah, we still have, like, these old characters that their arcs aren't finished yet. We have Peter Parker, we have Doctor Strange.
I don't think Doctor Strange will lead the Avengers. I have reasons for it because I think he's more on the mystical side, and I think he's solely on the mystical. Do you know what I'm saying? Like with specialization, like at least T'Challa's kind of across the board. Even Peter Parker kind of across the board. He's been in different things. They've resolved the conflicts. I don't know. I feel with Doctor Strange, he's more like he's the head of the mystic arts, and that's where he should stay. Like I don't see, and he's not a big people person either.
That's true.
Like at least T'Challa is like he leads a country. I think he could lead the Avengers kind of guy, but none of them are all people persons. Yeah. So that's where I'm kind of falling apart. Who do you think is going to lead the Avengers in Phase 4?
I don't know. I mean, like the dream would be like
Squirrel Girl,
Hawkeye and Black Widow. Like that would be the dream. Like I know like that's not going to happen.
Well, I think the dream would be Old Man Cap.
That's true.
Leading the Avengers and then dying. I think that would be the best. But
we'll see what
there's
happens.
No way that happens because he's already, he's wrapped
like,
shooting.
I feel like it'll be someone new. Because, like we have T'Challa, like you said, we have Doctor Strange, we have Ant-Man, but I don't think, like, he's, like, a leader. You know what I mean?
I got you. No, I understand. Ant-Man's more like he's like a Hawkeye. Yeah. He needs to have someone else lead, but he can do really good.
He's like a fanboy. Like, you know what
he's
I
a fanboy. There you go. That makes more sense. Hawkeye's not a fanboy, but he's like a Sam Wilson. There you go. That's a really apt, because they're actually also friends in the thing. So a Sam Wilson kind of character makes sense. Also, I have to get a quick read on this from Marvel. Sorry guys, our Captain Marvel podcast is kind of derailed, but I hope you guys enjoy what we're saying. What do you think of, some DC properties now, like, Star Wars, they hired all, like, new actors. Like, John Boyega only had, like, 1-2 movies under his belt. Daisy Ridley, that's actually her first credited film. Oscar Isaac, fuck Oscar Isaac. He has tons of movies, but you know what I'm saying? Like they're hiring newcomers.
Yeah.
What do you think of Marvel possibly making that transition with like Namor, like hiring like an Asian American actor maybe to play Namor who's never been played before, or a Pacific Islander character, Pacific Islander person who's never been casted before?
Like, I think they're at a stage now where they have enough of a foundation, and we're also at a turning point in like Hollywood where we've seen through Black Panther, Crazy Rich Asians, that there is an audience for these type of movies. Mm-hmm. So, and Marvel...
But, see, that audience for those type of movies usually doesn't come with really new acting characters. Like, even the characters within Crazy Rich Asians, I mean, the person who plays Rachel Lee. She was in Fresh Off the Boat. Yeah, she was in Fresh Off the Boat. She has extreme star power in the United States, which is why it worked so well. But I think, even like... the guy who played, oh my god, I'm forgetting his name. He's like the hunky Asian guy.
Henry Golding?
Henry Golding, there you go. Henry Golding. Like, wasn't very well known, but he's still got a really good reception, which is why I'm thinking, will Marvel movies make that transition? Because they've been doing that with their directors. Mm-hmm. Like Taika Waititi. Yeah. I mean, people know of Taika Waititi, but he's very unknown in terms of grand star power. I mean, he's no Joss Whedon. Like, exactly. Like, it's very different. But I think... Do you think you see that transition happening with characters too now? Because they've been doing it with directors, but do you think it'll happen with characters?
With characters, well,
like lesser known, maybe even first timers coming to play big roles.
Yeah, well, like if you think about the way they started, it was like they hired people who were a little established, and then they grew with the most. You can think of Robert Downey Jr., think of Chris Evans. They were a little established before, and now they've grown into these huge movie stars. But like I read something the other day where it's like Marvel said that okay, it's time for like a LGBTQ superhero.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love to
Right.
see what they would do with that.
So
Or who they would make LGBTQ.
exactly, and Marvel has enough clout already and a foundation and a fan base where I feel like they can do it. Like they take, they kind of take risks because like they follow.
I
the
mean,
formula.
they take risks to an extent. I mean,
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman to play T'Challa was like almost no risk at all.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's played almost every influential black character under the sun. He's
Jackie
played
Robinson,
Jackie
Thurgood
Robinson,
Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall. Now T'Challa, the first very like African American
Yep.
cultural, not African American, American. American. African
Yeah.
cultured superhero, which broke stereotypes at the time. He was in Fantastic
So
Four.
maybe it's time for Marvel to take more risks.
It's time for Marvel to take more risks with their actors, maybe too. Because I mean, Star Wars doing it. Star Wars doing it, and I'll admit the Star Wars series, they're their own mess.
Yeah.
For different reasons, but I don't think the acting has necessarily been the problem. I don't even think the characters have been the problem. Maybe how the characters are built, but like the people who are portraying the characters, I think are doing a really good job, which is why I think Marvel needs to start moving to getting less known actors. Like whoever played Maria, I've never
Yeah.
seen her act in anything else. That's
I mean, like I feel like
I might not be cultured enough, but
I feel like the parent family Disney's already doing that with like they have Aladdin coming up with like new faces. Like
Aladdin is its own issue.
it's no issue, but like yeah, it has an
we
issue.
can talk about Aladdin on another day.
But like there
I
are
get
new
what you're
faces.
saying.
You know what I mean?
They are new faces. I think the girl was in Power Rangers movie, so she's only really done a few.
I know her
things.
from Lemonade Mouth.
Oh yeah, and
back
she's the
in-
girl from
Back in the Disney
damn
Channel days.
deep cuts.
Yeah.
She's the girl from Lemonade Mouth. She was also in the Power Rangers movie,
Yep.
and now she's Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good progression. I mean, shit. I'd go from band member to Power Ranger to Jasmine. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. All right, I think that's all we have to say today. Any other closing comments, real quick? No more questions, just closing comments, Kritik.
Sorry if we spoiled Captain Marvel for you.
Oh. Oh yeah, this is your last spoiler warning. Yeah, exactly.
This is fun.
This is
fun.
I'm glad you liked it. Kritik is 100% coming back to do talks on Endgame later.
I will 100% be there.
He will do
Like
talks on
I'm
Endgame.
happy I found someone like me, where I can have these conversations with, where where people just don't just stare at me like what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I completely feel you. Kritik is a very interesting person in the sense that he can talk about Marvel movies and he can also talk about direction and stuff. He has both the comics knowledge and the knowledge of production and how things are made. And you even go in to watch like interviews with the directors. That's something I've never done, unless it's Taika Waititi, because I love Taika Waititi.
Well, yeah, like
but
I enjoy how things are made. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like filmmaking and stuff. Like how things like how they do
exactly.
it.
I'm trying to get more into that, but I think spending time. We'll be spending a lot of time together when Endgame comes around. Especially, there will be another Endgame trailer. I think that's dropping at the end of this month or within the next few
that's what
weeks.
I've heard.
So, him and me will definitely be diving into that. We might even do a play-by-play, go frame by frame.
I also want to let you
look
guys
at
know that Archdeep has a Marvel encyclopedia on his desk, which is very exciting to see, which I will be borrowing one day.
I don't see it. I just see the Bible. I have a Marvel encyclopedia. Maybe we'll do a little one shot on one of the characters in there, and we'll break it down for you. Maybe we'll even see him in the MCU maybe one day. But yeah, that's essentially all we have for today's episode. Kritik, bless you, brother. It was great having you on the show.
Me.
All right, guys, if you liked what you saw, just please subscribe, comment, let me know what I could do better. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. I love all the criticism. And just, share it with your friends if you really like. Share it with your family. Share it with your dog. Share it with your cat. See what I did there? Your Flurgan. Yeah, whoever you want to share it with. Your Skrulls, your Krees. Whoever you want to share it with them. And, until then, this has been Off the Deep End with Kritik. I'm your host, Arsheep Singh, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.